And this is the News Press team that brought us this story. We've got Amy, Amanda, and Melissa in studio with us. Amy, we just had new information come down this past week that was really telling about what happened after she left our area.
Yeah, the state attorney's office released about 2,600 pages of documents that include photos, very detailed case notes, images from Lois Riess's cell phone that she got after she left Minnesota and called herself Stormy Liberty, went to Texas, and while she was in Texas, by all appearances, she behaved a lot like she behaved on Fort Myers Beach, telling people that she was single. She told one woman she was newly widowed, making friends, throwing cash around. One restaurant owner remembers her as a very lavish tipper. She even befriended one woman who invited her home to sleep in her guest bedroom. They went hot tubbing together, and so she, by every indication, was doing the same kind of socializing that she did on Fort Myers Beach.
Do we know if this woman looked like her, resembled her at all, like Pamela Hutchinson?
We have not seen photos of this woman, but she was about the same age. I think she was 59.
Now, Amanda, I know the two of you traveled to Minnesota to talk to people that knew them. What was kind of their thoughts of her personality prior to this?
Everyone said that they knew her a little bit. She kind of seemed to keep to herself a little bit, but everyone said that she appeared to be a loving person. A lot of people had trusted her to provide daycare for their children or grandchildren or friends' children. So everybody
This was a very small town, isn't it?
A town of about 2,000. So everybody was pretty shocked to hear this.
Now, looking at your video, is it kind of a rural town, or what do they do there?
It's a rural town. It's right in the middle of cornfields, surrounded on all four sides by cornfields, and there's grain silos. So, and a little working downtown, really cute, picturesque town.
Was anybody there aware of the fact that she was this gambler?
Nobody that we talked to. You know, the casino is about 45 minutes away. It's not in Minnesota, it's over the Iowa border. And, you know, people talk about going there occasionally, but I don't think anyone to whom we spoke had any idea how deep a problem she had.
Now, the other facet of this story, of course, is the victim, and we don't want to overlook them in this piece. And that's really what you honed in on, Melissa.
Yes, I've been speaking with Pamela Hutchinson's family since the crime first occurred, and she was ID'd as the victim. And, you know, it's very difficult when you're speaking to the victim's family because sometimes they don't want to talk to you, but as time and time progressed, they began opening up to me. And I think what changed it for them was they saw a photo of Lois Riess. She was wearing this hat. And that's when...
that was chilling, seeing her wearing that cap. I think everybody felt that way.
It was chilling, and to hear it from Pam's family, they were really upset because that was Pam's hat. She was really into hats, and we have a bunch of photos of her where she's wearing hats. So, you know, they want justice in whatever way they can, and I think that's what I wanted to get through in the story when I was talking to them.
I think in reading your report, you mentioned that it was her. She had a very gregarious nature, and she didn't know a stranger, and that kind of ultimately crossing paths with someone like this led to her downfall?
Yes, that's what a lot of her friends said. A lot of the friends that she had met in Bradenton, she had met them at bars, and she was just a nice person, and I guess she didn't expect bad from anyone.
And what Amy alluded to as well, that she may have been a victim because she resembled Lois, that had to be also heartbreaking for the family to think of the nature of why she was targeted.
One of the things that the recently released documents go into a little more detail than we had in the past is just how Lois Riess allegedly pulled that off when she went to a branch of Pamela Hutchinson's bank to take out the first big chunk of cash. The investigators talked to the woman who did the transaction, and she said, yeah, I looked at her ID. She didn't look exactly the same, but some time had passed, and I figured, you know, this is just the aging process. And so Lois Riess was allegedly able to capitalize on that other people trust, and they were about the same age, they were about the same build, and that was what she used to impersonate Pamela Hutchinson.
Wow, it's really scary. You had those images side by side, and putting together the video, you saw that. Did you see the connection right away with your photographer's eye that they kind of had a lot of the basic similarities?
A little bit. You know, the sheriff's office had said in the beginning that that's what they thought had happened, so it made it a little easier to see that. But I would see it if you were a bank teller or a bartender that had just met them. That I've almost memorized the details of both of their faces from looking at them. But at first glance, it would be easy to mistake one for the other.
One other thing worth mentioning is that because of our modern times, and we talk about cameras always capturing what we're doing, the amount of surveillance tape that they had of them, you know, especially when she's with Pamela. And they look like they're kind of hanging out, and then when you see her after, allegedly, the killing near the elevators, you know, what's that like to be able to enrich your story by actually seeing some things in real time?
Well, thankfully, the sheriff's office had great reports that detailed all of those interactions. So, you know, specifically like in the warrant for Lois Riess, they detailed how she was pacing outside of the elevator after they believed that she killed Pam. So I think that adds detail to the story and maybe gives each person a little more depth instead of just proclaiming, oh, she killed somebody.
Sure. It is really creepy, though, to be able to see somebody after maybe doing something so heinous and to see their demeanor and how they may have been acting.
I think that's something that continues to bewilder everybody who knew Lois, who loved Pam. Just that this woman, after allegedly killing Pam, just carried on, went to casinos, bought food, made new friends, but obviously normal circumstances don't apply here.
Well, I liked in your reporting that you mentioned that you found an expert who said that sometimes when people have nothing else going, nothing left to lose, they've hit bottom, they've been cut off and things, they just kind of go for broke.
Yeah, he makes parallels between the disease of substance addiction and alcohol addiction to gambling addiction, and the same mechanisms happen in the brain, and you just reach a point of desperation where your normal morality and the way that you deal with people is just overridden by the desire for the reward.
Well, I know we have much more reporting to do on this, especially as more documents come out and we get more into her head with the trial ahead as well. Thank you very much, and stay tuned.